Welcome to the first of a little mini series of traditional / cask style beers. We're both at the craft end of the spectrum, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's fair to say.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But having, it's coming into summertime, you can't really, me personally, if I was to go to a beer garden, I'd want to go for a cask style beer. Something that's at 11-ish degrees.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I just like variety, but yeah, that's fine.
Quite a lot of our channel has been dedicated to craft style brews and some wacky stuff, so I wanted to get back to basics and look at more of the sort of principles of brewing cask style beers, things like keeping it as clear as possible. Yeah, and just using some of the systems that can go into that. We're starting out with an amber ale, which is a clone of, our own clone in fact, of Black Sheep's, it's Black Sheep Ale, isn't it?
Yeah, where's that from? Yorkshire?
Masham.
The name's George Whitered. I'm a Yorkshireman.
I think it's North Yorkshire or Mid Yorkshire, but anyway, Yorkshire.
Plain speaking, I say what I like and I like what I bloody well say.
Yeah, so I thought an amber ale would be a good start, and then we'll move through a few different types, use some different brewing systems. We'll do some stovetop. We might even use an actual cask at some point. We're going to get Matt from Wriggle Valley Brewery in to do a cask brew as well, which should be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Because done properly, when it's nice and clear, and it's just got nice mouthfeel. It's that nice sort of creamy foam on top. I think it's brilliant, and a low level of carbonation.
You know that scene at the beginning of The Gentleman?
Yeah.
Where he's in his
yeah.
boozer? That pint looks incredible.
It does. I'll have to interject that.
That's what I think of when I think of like a proper cask
Yeah, it's
beer.
true. And you can't beat that, can you?
No,
I mean,
no.
I would say that nothing makes me as thirsty as when I watch something like that being poured.
Yeah,
for
I mean
beer.
obviously they spent mega bucks to make it look as as nice as possible, but that looked good.
It did look really good. Anyway, so what we have here, you can see we've got a pressure barrel, 25 litre pressure barrel, and we've got a 5 litre mini keg. This brew, I had 2 on the go concurrently, which was a little bit stressful, but I got it done, bit of a pro. And so I used our 30 litre kettle with grain basket. But then alongside that, I did a stovetop version as well, where I tried to replicate some of the bigger system on a smaller, more basic sort of starter setup to see what you guys think. Anyway, let's get stuck in with the brew day. Welcome back to the Nerve Centre. It's exciting times. I haven't brewed a traditional British cask-style beer in actually just coming up to just over a year. I think the Doom Bar was the last one I did. Anyway, yeah, it's going to be great. And I'm obviously a bit of a mug because I'm going to try and do 2 batches concurrently. One, a 20 litre batch on this larger kettle, and a 5 litre batch in the stovetop 10 litre kettle there. Sales pitch quickly. We sell both these systems here. We also sell these t-shirts. Right, sales pitch over. Yeah, so this is going to be quite different to most of the brews I've done recently. The priorities are going to be slightly different. We're going for a nice clear amber beer. We are looking for a nice clean fermentation. It's going to be really nice and malt forward. And the purpose of the 2 systems is just to really compare and contrast. Thought it'd be helpful for all you beginners out there. This has been a recommendation a couple of times actually, so we like to deliver on our promise. Okay, yeah, strike temp 68 and mashing at 64. And we have Maris Otter, we have torrefied wheat, we have some crystal, and a fleck of black malt. Seems a bit pointless putting in literally 12 grams of black malt, but there you go. Stovetop brews are kind of on and off the heat all the time. That's the deal, man. Bosh. Black Country Homebrew, this is for you. If you keep using my word bosh, there's going to be trouble. My people will be onto you. And the first thing I'll take in the settlement from the lawyers will be that orange mash tun of yours. Was it Arlas, I think you call it? Yeah, so I thought it'd be interesting just to do them side by side and just compare the processes. And also with the tasting, I mean, they're pretty much like the water treatment, obviously the malt, hops, etc. The recipe is identical, and they'll be fermenting in the same fermentation fridge. So I suppose the main difference between the two will be obviously temperature control. In one of these is a completely different animal to one where I've got an inkbird probe in the thermo well. A thermo well is basically a a tube of metal, and this sits inside, so it's actually inside the kettle itself, getting a pretty accurate temperature reading. Whereas this, it's going to be a combination of sort of taking readings between the gauge at the bottom here, which we're a bit on the high side at the moment, and then also using my Inkbird temp probe at the top as well, and sort of find that happy medium between the two. Yeah, so Ed made this. This is bootleg sparge / recirc attachment. And the idea is it recirculates, so it comes out the bottom of the kettle, in through the pump, back up, down, and then back through the grain bed, taking all that goodness with it, back down through the pump again and around. 64.9. Obviously, I can't recirc on this. I mean, I could. It's got a quick disconnect on it, which we fitted, but yeah, that's not happening. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a manual recirc. Every now and again, I'll take a few litres out the bottom and just pour it on top of the bed. Okay, yeah, looking pretty good. Temperature over here has been a bit of a shambles, to be honest. It's fluctuating, probably in a 5 to 6 degree range. I'm not massively concerned. I've done loads of stovetops and they've always worked out pretty good, with one exception. This is looking good, 64.2. So, we're pretty much bang on. I have a cunning plan for trying to keep it as clear as possible.
I've got a plan, and it's as hot as my pants!
Just completed the mash out, where we raise the temp to 75 degrees because it halts the enzymes converting the starches to sugars, and also makes the mash less viscous. But anyway, my cunning plan that I said about earlier, what I'm going to do, and I've never done this before, it may be a complete waste of time, it may work very nicely. But as we're looking for a nice clear beer, I'm going to try and use the grain beds in both as a filter to remove as many grain particles from the wort as possible, and keep recircling round and round and round. I'm going to do it manually on there with a jug. I know you're thinking, oh, but it hasn't got a basket, how are you going to do it? Well, I've got news for you. I've got a new system, patent pending, where basically I'm going to put the grain in there. Because obviously the thicker the grain bed, the more filterage you're going to get. And I'm just going to basically just keep it recircling round and round and round and see whether it starts to run off clearer as those particles get caught in the grain bed. At least that's the theory. This is of course before we start sparging. There we go. That'll do. So we'll just leave that going for, well, we'll see. We'll see how clear it starts to look. Who knows? It's a voyage of discovery. You can see there, I hope you can see through the filter there, we've got a fairly chunky grain bed. Yeah, it must be about 5 inches, possibly a little bit more on a warm day. I think that's going to work. Now let's just compact the grain bed down a little bit. Right, we're recircing. I think they call this Vorloffing. A Vorloff attachment, Ed's got one. It looks like a spoon, but basically it's just to capture the chunks, grain particles, as they're recirced and dropped down on top of the grain bed. I got quite tired of just the water diffusion, if that's the right word, just by pouring it in with a jug. So I've created, I know what you're thinking, there is no limit to this guy's powers. I've created another one. I'm going to put it inside there, like that, push it down onto the mash. That looks better. That looks better, folks. Oh, that's so much better. Don't need to worry about roughness. Literally just put it in and it's just going to manage itself down through those holes. I think it's working. Can you see any difference? Got the bigger batch here, stovetop there. I'm quite pleased. I mean, bear in mind that this is pre-sparge. Yeah, not sure what to make of that really. Right, over to the sparge. All our sparge water in the kettle here. Sparge will be a dream on that one. It's literally just replace the hose, move it over onto the sparge kettle here, and literally need to take 3 litres of sparge water out of the top of that to then sparge here. I'm going to sparge through the 2 buckets. This 2-bucket system works like a dream. 2 buckets and a rack. And a drill, of course. Tops. And I'm adding some protoflock tablets to both. half a tablet in the big one, and about an eighth of a tablet in that one. Jobs are good. Protofloc is Irish moss, basically. Promotes clearer wort by basically, as far as I understand it, the proteins clump together and then fall to the bottom. And also a little bit of yeast nutrient in each. Right, we're recircling, ready to chill. Here we go, just a clamp holding the hose in place. I've got a bit of a cowboy cooling in mine, no offence to cowboys, for the small kettle. I forgot to get some ice. And so, but it's quite cold outside. It can't be much more than 5 degrees outside. So standing water, probably 10-ish. So that should chill it pretty quick. So I'm just going to put the lid on and take it outside. I was going to use West Yorkshire from Yeast, but I'm not happy with how the packet's looking. It hasn't inflated that much. So I'm going to go with good old SO4 English Ale, which is annoying because Black Sheep Ale is in Masham in Yorkshire. So you would think, I mean, technically I think it's North Yorkshire, but it looks pretty west to me. But anyway, I'm sure that's going to piss someone off in the comments.
Plain speaking, I say what I like and I like what I bloody well say.
The other thing about Chemsan is you can use cold water, whereas I generally find that the granules is better with warm water. Meanwhile, 30 litre kettle is at 35 degrees. There we are on that, sports fans. Okay, I'm actually going to pitch and then aerate because I want to get the hell out of here, it's getting late. Here we go. And there they are, tucked in the fermentation fridge. One on top of the other. Now you ferment good. And fermenting at 19 degrees, 19 on the Inkbird. One other thing quickly, don't tell the Black Country Homebrew guys.
2 weeks later.
Before I get the fermenter out and transfer to barrel, I just want to talk about the suckback quandary. I know that's not a dodgy site, but with the brew bucket, I've encountered quite a few issues with suckback. Basically, suckback is when your beer is at 19, 20 degrees room temperature, it obviously occupies a little bit more space than it does when it's at cold crash 2, 3 degrees. As the temperature drops, the volume decreases like that and basically creates a vacuum and pulls sanitizer up through the tube there. And annoyingly, I've allowed probably half a litre of sanitizing solution to be pulled into the fermenter, which is not ideal. I should have been aware of that. There are ways you can combat it, which we'll cover in another video, but just to be aware about suckback. As it's an ale, I'm not massively concerned at this point with oxidation, so I just burp it. So I basically every now and again will lift the tube out and just let it gulp a little bit of air and then put it back in again. And that is the way, kind of belts and braces, that I cover it. The demijohn, well, who knows what's going on with that. But yeah, so suckback, be aware people. All right then, sports fans, it's time to barrel the beers. Using a pressure barrel, as you can see, and a mini keg for the stovetop batch. And the first thing I'm going to do, I haven't used these for a while, reusing the mini keg. Obviously barrel I've used a few times before. So basically I go with a 2-step cleaning and sanitizing system. Number one is I use a cleaning and sanitizing powder, sodium bicarbonate like that. So I'll put, with some warm water, slosh that around in the barrel. I'm going to take the tap off and make sure that everything's completely clean. I'm going to run sanitizing solution through the tap, give it a good old shake and let that sit in there for a bit and get that really nice and clean. And do likewise with the mini keg. And then after that, I'm going to empty all that out and then I'm going to go with the Chemsan. Chemsan is our go-to sanitizing solution at the moment. It's just much nicer to work with than this sort of more aggressive sodium bicarbonate. Anyway, yeah, and then basically give it the sanitize with that and then siphon in. I think you are. There's not much in it. I think that the pressure barrel just wins the bigger batch on the kettle, on the the bigger batch.
The mini keg is very slightly darker, I'd say, very slightly.
Yeah. I love that foam though. That's what we're talking about with cask beers is that lovely foam there, and a real nice level and like low level of carbonation. I mean, you can quite see that. I'll try and get a close up. Anyway, I'm going in.
It's really good.
It's decent.
Yeah, it finishes nice and sweet, not in a bad way. That's lovely.
I like the mouthfeel, body in that. I think it's decent.
Am I allowed to ask what they both finished at, gravity-wise?
I think it's 10-11.
Okay, what, both?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
But both. Yeah. In terms of like the gravities, they're both identical. I think the stovetop was 1 point under the kettle, but they both finished up about 10-11. Yeah.
That's lovely. That's really, really good.
Do you want to try? Oh, I need to talk about suckback.
Okay.
Have you had issues with suckback?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So why is that?
No, well, I thought you were going to make a joke, but you're not. So
I thought about it, but that's why I refrained.
We're finally growing up.
No, the last two using the SS Brew bucket, I have had suckback, and well, let's go and learn about that now.
I haven't since I've been using a uni tank. I did with the big conical. What do they call them? The Chronicles from SS Brewtech. I did with one of those.
But the interesting point about the suckback here is that one batch has been affected by it and has some sanitizer in with it, but the other one doesn't.
And you want me to see if I can pick out which one?
I want you to see if you can pick it out.
I'm not going to be able to pick it out, am I?
Well,
I mean,
we haven't tried the one from the pressure barrel yet, so let's go in there and have a...
Sorry, how much suckback was there? What are we talking, like a milliliter or?
No, half a litre probably at least.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's about 500 ml.
And I don't know about you, but I get completely put off by the idea of any sanitizer in anything I'm drinking. I just instantly, it's a turn off. So I thought for you it'd be interesting as you don't know. So yeah, cheers again.
Right, thank you.
This is the pressure barrel version. It's different, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's drinkable. It's not as sweet as that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with what I said just now. I do think this has had the sanitizer, only because it's like that one, but slightly watered down. Yeah. Slightly sweet. It's not as sweet.
It's got a slightly bitterer, rougher edge. The pressure barrel one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guessed correct. The pressure barrel's going down the drain.
Okay, right.
Swill.
But that's good. It's still good. It's still drinkable. But this one here has a lot more flavour, I think.
Yeah, it does, and it's also just a much nicer, rounder body. I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the sanitizer. Annoyingly.
Sorry. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
You know. I'm not going to come a cropper on that again.
Yeah.
Suck back.
I'm going to stick with this one because that's a lovely beer.
It is.
It's a shame about the sanitizer. It would be nice to see an equal.
Yeah, it would.
Test, wouldn't
Unfortunately, that ain't going to happen this time.
Well, not this time. Next time.
Because the next one I'm going to brew a golden ale. That's the next one, and that's going to be from the Graham Wheeler book. It's going to be a clone of Exmoor Gold. This is showing that a stovetop 5 litre batch with a few little tricks you can really.
It's amazing what you can do.
It is really genuinely. It is really good. Definitely advocate to people that want to start brewing that a stovetop level is good and getting a few 5 litre brews under their belts. Like I did probably 6 or 7 before I went to a larger system.
But that's the thing. You don't need loads and loads of money. You know, when I first got into brewing, you just need a bit of kind of innovation, really, don't you?
Yeah. Play around with some techniques and some adjuncts and some process, and see where you get to.
Don't look at the world like this. Look at the world like.
Yeah, that's it. No, I think
cut that bit out.
I will. No, I think I'm really happy with that. Right, so that's the first traditional cask style brew over with. In the next video, you'll see Big Don make an appearance. That's Don, as in Donald, not Dong.
I know, because you were pointing at me, and I thought you said Dong.
Definitely not appropriate in your case. So we're making an appearance with this. I know many of you guys use these. So the next one will be a Exmoor Gold clone from the Graham Wheeler book, and it'll feature Big Don.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah. Anyway, you got to finish the mini cake.
No, what? No, not tonight. Not tonight. No, it's a school night.
Come on.
No, not going to happen.
Anyway, so I hope you found that an interesting first foray into cask style brewing, and if you're at a stovetop level that you think that you might try mixing it up with a couple of buckets. I mean, the cost of a couple of those buckets is £5. I mean, you can buy sanitizer in them and get them for free. Then a drill, job's a good one. And just use the old jug. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe this bad boy, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Maybe
We're going to do it. I don't want to talk over you. Happy?
Yeah, I am happy actually.
Yeah.
It's decent.
What about the outcome? You okay with the
Tap
outcome?
water.
Huh?
It's tap water.
Yeah? What, both? All, yeah.
Yeah, both tap water.
Wow.